Tonight, an inquest begins into the death of a man who shot himself in Moose Jaw police custody. Also, the future of carbon tax rebates in Saskatchewan is unclear as checks start to roll out. Plus, from fire bans to heavy rain and snow, we'll break down what you can expect with this week's wild weather.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Monday, April 15th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thank you for watching. The inquest into the death of a 40-year-old Saskatchewan man who died in police custody started in Moose Jaw this morning. Early testimony has revealed the man was concealing a handgun and police failed to properly search him. Alexander Kwan is covering the story, and a warning, some of the details may be disturbing.
Jeremy Sabern was passionate about sport fishing and hunting. His obituary says he was a member of Saskatchewan's Handgun Association and a local safety officer for several years. How he got a gun inside the Moose Jaw police cells is part of a coroner's inquest now underway. Coroner Blaine Bevan impaneled a 6-person jury made up of 4 women and 2 men at the courthouse in Moose Jaw. Their job is to listen to testimony, determine a cause of death, and, if they choose, make recommendations on how similar incidents could be prevented in the future. The first witnesses are police officers. To start, we learned Sabern was wanted by police on an outstanding warrant. The 40-year-old man from Assiniboia was arrested and transported by RCMP to the Moose Jaw Police Service headquarters in October 2021. Chris Flanagan was a staff sergeant in charge of the cells at the time of the incident. Flanagan testified that the RCMP officer that transported Sabern told him that he had already been searched. Flanagan said that he took the RCMP officer at his word, despite a policy that said all prisoners had to be searched. Sabern was not physically searched in Moose Jaw, and a metal detecting wand was not used. On October 7th, Sabern refused to leave his cell for a court appearance. Flanagan says when he went to retrieve the prisoner, Sabern told him to look away, then pulled a handgun out and shot himself in the head. The details on what happened next are expected to emerge in testimony later this week. What we do know is that Sabern would be declared dead a short time later. Flanagan confirmed that for his role in Sabern's death, he was demoted from staff sergeant to constable, the lowest rank in the service. Another officer testified that a slim gun holster was found on the inside of Sabern's thigh. The inquest is scheduled to run through this week. 13 witnesses are expected to testify. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Moose Jaw.
People in Saskatchewan will start receiving carbon tax rebate checks today, but the amount people will get moving forward is unknown. That's because the province decided in February that it would not collect or remit the levy on home heating. Sam Sampson has more on the checks and the future of the rebate.
The rebates you're getting in Saskatchewan this month are normal. They're based on taxes paid a long time ago. The big question mark will come with next quarter's rebate. So that is the worry, right? The trickle-down effect from Premier Scott Moe's decision not to remit the carbon tax on home heating. Remember, he made this decision not to remit the carbon tax to the federal government on home heating because of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's decision to carve out the carbon tax for those using home heating oil, something Moe says is unfair because most of us here in Saskatchewan use natural gas to heat our homes. The trickle-down effect worry was what happens to the rebate. It's still unclear from the federal government whether our rebates in Saskatchewan will be reduced or cut completely. Now, at a community leaders event today, Scott Moe stayed on course and even hoped that the federal government in Tuesday's federal budget will actually cut the carbon tax completely.
My thought is the federal justice minister and his cabinet colleagues can make this all better by treating Canadian families equally and removing the carbon tax not only on home heating, all home heating fuels for all Canadian families, but removing it on everything for everyone. It's an inflationary carbon tax. It's costing Canadian families more.
Regardless of the politics behind the carbon tax right now, many people in Saskatchewan have come to rely on the rebate. And so they worry that if the rebate is reduced or cut, they will struggle a little.
At this time, I do. Yes, I really do. Yeah, and a lot of people that I know, they do rely on it as well. And so I think it's an extra support that should stay. Right now, I need to go get a new phone, and I need to buy some groceries for my mom's house.
Regardless of what happens to our rebates in the next quarter, some policy analysts believe that this political back and forth only confuses Canadians who already have a hard enough time figuring out how the carbon tax affects their budgets.
The big Achilles heel of the carbon tax as we pay it is that it's hard to relate how much goes out with how much comes back. And in a situation like you find yourself in Saskatchewan, where the provincial government, the federal government are disputing what should be collected and where certain things are not currently being collected, it becomes even harder to understand that.
Warren maybe doesn't know what will happen with Saskatchewan residents' carbon tax rebates, but he guesses two things could happen. One, there could be a meeting between provincial and federal leaders about the future of the carbon tax. That is something that Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre has called for through a televised emergency meeting. And two, if the rebate gets cut in Saskatchewan, so could public support for the carbon tax itself. Sam Sampson, CBC News, Regina.
The province's only hyperbaric chamber is reopening on a limited basis, but the NDP says it should have never been shut down. Today, they enlisted the help of Moose Jaw firefighters to call out the government for temporarily stopping the treatment. The pressurized oxygen chamber can be used to treat burns and carbon monoxide poisoning, as well as other wounds and medical conditions. It's located in Moose Jaw, and local firefighters have raised money more than once to support the life-saving treatment. The chamber was closed nearly 3 years ago in July of 2021 due to a staffing shortage.
Put in lots of time and money over the years for the original chamber, and then when we heard that the chamber wasn't going to be included in the new hospital, another round of fundraising, time and effort to have it included. So to hear that it hasn't been in use to its full extent since 2021 is disappointing.
Speaking at the SUMA convention this morning, Premier Scott Moe said the oxygen therapy program is reopening with reduced hours. He says there are now 3 trained respiratory therapists on staff and that the chamber will run at full capacity once they hire a 4th. James Smith Cree Nation is donating more than 3/4 of the fundraising goal for a new park and playground in Weldon. The village wants to build it to honor Wes Peterson. He was one of the 11 people killed in the September 2022 mass stabbing there. Over the weekend, members of James Smith presented a check for the project. There hasn't been a playground in Weldon for more than 20 years, and since Peterson loved kids, people in the community say there's no better way to honor him. A Saskatchewan man accused of abducting his daughter and failing to return her to her mother took the stand in a Regina courtroom this morning. Michael Gordon Jackson is representing himself in the trial, and he called himself as the defense's first and only witness. Adam Hunter has the details.
Michael Gordon Jackson told the jury that he did not want his 7-year-old daughter vaccinated against COVID-19 in the fall of 2021. He shared custody with the girl's mother, but the mother had final say on matters of health and education. When he could not get a guarantee that the girl's mother would not vaccinate the 7-year-old against COVID-19, he decided to take matters into his own hands. He said based on the research he had done, he felt the vaccine was unsafe. So he took his daughter from Saskatchewan to BC. In February of 2022, he was arrested in Vernon, British Columbia. On the stand, Jackson told his version of events that led him to take his daughter without her mother's blessing. He says he did not believe a court would rule in a timely manner and called the situation desperate. During cross-examination, Jackson said that he took his daughter for 2.5 months and that no one knew where they were. Well, he disagreed that what he did was extreme, although to his knowledge, he was the only parent in Canada to have taken this sort of action. He said, and I quote, "It may seem extreme, but I felt I did the right thing." Jackson wrapped up his case without calling any other witnesses. Final arguments and the jury charge will happen on Thursday. Adam Hunter, CBC News, Regina.
Last week, the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly, Randy Weeks, gave Sask Party MLA Jeremy Harrison a stern rebuke for what he said was unparliamentary behavior, suggesting an opposing member was lying. Today, a review of that and other behavior in the House well, it escalated.
Over the past few weeks, in addition to insinuations of dishonesty, also found that members on both sides of this chamber have increasingly engaged in inflammatory and provocative statements, personal attacks, and name-calling.
Before question period, the Speaker gave a review that lasted about 5 minutes. Randy Weeks has been a Sask Party MLA since 1999, but he lost his nomination in the Kindersley-Biggar riding, meaning he will not be an MLA after this fall's election. And he's been cracking down on bad behavior on and off the record.
Just while I'm on my feet, as Speaker, I've received literally hundreds and hundreds of text messages from the government House Leader, the Deputy Government House Leader, and occasionally from the Minister of Finance. I'd just like to read into the record what the Minister of Finance just sent me. Randy, if you can blatantly lie, tarnish reputations of elected and unelected individuals with innuendos but no proof, we have no avenue to push back, then this assembly has become a joke and a stage for an opposition puppet show. Disappointing. First of all, if you want to make a point of order, get on your feet. And I ask the Minister of Finance to withdraw and apologize for this text and any others that you may feel inclined to send me off the record.
I withdraw and apologize.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Government orders adjourn debates. Item number 3, resume debate on the second reading motion for Bill number 158, the Saskatchewan Commercial Innovation Incentive Patent Box Amendment Act 2020.
I ask the Government House Leader to stand and withdraw and apologize for that comment too. I'm not deaf.
I'm not. Absolutely. Give her.
Mr. Jeremy Harrison, I hereby name you for disregarding the authority of the chair. Pursuant to Rule 57.2, the member is suspended from the service of the Assembly for the remainder of the sitting day.
Today, we are delighted to take our commitment to a higher level as we mark the addition of 61 communities to the Rural Fibre Initiative.
Rural Saskatchewan communities will soon be able to enjoy faster internet thanks to SaskTel's Rural Fibre Initiative. SaskTel's adding $80 million to bring its advanced fibre optic broadband network to 225 rural communities. The Crown says it's committed to supporting the evolving needs of its customers, including offering faster and more reliable internet. All communities included in the Rural Fibre Initiative will be fibre ready by the end of 2027. Well, the ice is gone on Wascana Lake in Regina, but it isn't exactly smooth swimming for these geese. The wind gusts today actually led to whitecaps on the lake at some points, and eventually these geese just gave up and got out. And can you blame them? When will the wind give up? Ethan will have your forecast after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. The dry conditions this spring have caused the RM of Corman Park to put a fire ban in place. The RM, which covers the area around Saskatoon, implemented the ban on Friday. So, open flames not allowed. That includes fire pits, burning barrels, controlled burns, and fireworks. Carrie Hiltz with the RM tells CBC that it comes after 2 fires in the area last week. Hiltz says the ban is typical in spring, but this is a week or 2 earlier than most years. The fire ban will stay in place until they get some good moisture, which, I say this hopefully, appears to be in the forecast later this week.
The weather update is brought to you by Capital Ford Lincoln. Customer Appreciation Month is on now.
You know what doesn't help dry weather? The wind.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Ethan, what is going on outside?
We got a lot going on and a lot coming up in our forecast, but we'll start with the fire bans, of course, because you heard about the RM of Corman Park. But many other RMs around the Saskatoon area are also seeing fire bans in place now, and those also exist out to the west between the Battlefords and Meadow Lake area too, and a couple of restrictions in RMs right around the Lloydminster area. There's also one off the map here, just in the southern part of the province too. So those are starting to pop up in a lot of places, no matter where you are. And of course, yeah, the wind's not helping. We've seen gusts over 80 today in Regina, sustained winds near 50 in southeastern Saskatchewan, still strong this evening. Now, this is happening because this is in advance of a system which is not only going to bring more wind, but yes, hopefully some helpful rain to quench the situation and the dry fields that we have out there, but possibly some snow as well. This is the hardest hit area of the province, up to 25 centimeters or 30 millimeters of rain, depending on what falls. It's a game time decision. We don't really know until we see what the air temperature is going to be. But here's a look, one model at least, a look at how things may play out. We're already seeing rain moving into western sections of northern Saskatchewan tonight. That changes over to snow as we head through the overnight hours and into early tomorrow morning as that begins to move eastward. Then south and central, as that kind of first part of the snow begins to move out of the north, rain begins tomorrow afternoon in western and central sections along the northern grain belt. This model wants to change this over to snow as temperatures drop tomorrow night and into early Wednesday. And then that system begins moving southeast. And Regina, Yorkton, up toward east central Saskatchewan, we start to pick that up. And even at late day Wednesday and into Thursday, there still could be some lingering what should be flurries or some light snow by this point. I think the rain will mostly have changed over by then. But we have a couple different models to pan out how this will go if it falls either way. If it's rain, probably Regina in the south, we're looking for 5 to 10 millimeters. Central Saskatchewan could be in the range of 15 to 20. It's in the Churchill region, though, no matter rain or snow, where you will likely get the most moisture. If it falls as snow, yes, there could be pockets of maybe 25 to 30 centimeters there. And shovelable snow for central Saskatchewan if that remains the case. For southern Saskatchewan, even some pockets of maybe 5 to 10 centimeters, especially in kind of higher elevations around the Cypress Hills and the Moose Mountains further eastward. The wind will take a bit of a break tomorrow after a very breezy day today, but then again, Wednesday is the day we need to watch because north and northwesterly winds really starting to pick up. This model tends to undershoot wind speeds, so this could be even higher than what you see here. So for Regina, tomorrow afternoon, we'll call it increasing cloudiness with the chance of some afternoon showers. Either rain or snow may be in the order of about 2 to 4 millimeters right now. That's a conservative guess. And then some light snow for Thursday, Friday before things clear up and warm up for the weekend. And the winds, yes, they pick up again. Saskatoon, a little bit more moisture for you from this system. So you'll see that rain start to move in tomorrow afternoon. Rain or snow Wednesday, likely going to have a better idea by tomorrow of how that's falling, Sam. But yes, definitely, hopefully, some relief from the fire situation with all this.
If it snows, it's my fault. I put my winter stuff away yesterday.
I knew it. I knew someone had done something.
I'll take the blame. It's my fault.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
Ambrose pulls it back. She waits her shot. Rebound in front. She scores! Danielle Sardagny has done it in overtime. Canada, play spoiler.
That's another look at Danielle Sardagny scoring the winner and setting off the celebration. The Canadian women's team now has 13 World Championships. Adding to the thrill of this victory, they reclaimed the gold and the trophy on their rivals' home ice. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. Federal Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland is set to present the 2024 budget tomorrow. And we already know the Liberal government intends to spend billions of dollars on new initiatives. But it remains to be seen how it will do that while keeping its promise to remain fiscally prudent. Ashley Burke has more.
A new pair of shoes for a budget that might feel like a retread. The finance minister's purchase from millennial and Gen Z entrepreneurs, the generation her party is trying to win over with its budget. We already have a good idea of what initiatives are in the budget, but we don't know how the government intends to pay for them.
Our country cannot succeed unless young people succeed.
The Prime Minister didn't offer any hints about new sources of revenue, instead focusing on his message to young Canadians.
Our country cannot succeed unless young people can imagine themselves succeeding. And they just don't feel that right now.
So far, the Liberals have revealed $38 billion in commitments over a number of years. That will cover initiatives for housing, artificial intelligence, and a national school food program. So far, about $17 billion in promises involve loan-based programs. About $21 billion could hit Canada's bottom line directly.
Will we see the deficit grow?
No. That means new revenue needs to come in.
Let's be honest, they have to raise taxes. I mean, how else are we going to do this? I don't think that it should be a big secret, but can we do it in a thoughtful, provocative way?
The NDP wants the government to make companies pay.
Let's take on the corporate greed, which is driving up the cost of living.
But experts warn if that happens, the cost could get passed on to consumers.
When you're looking to raise revenues, often you need to apply a tax that's going to affect a broad portion of your income earners. Otherwise, and that includes middle income earners. So I'm not quite sure how we're going to get around this, to tell you honestly.
The finance minister has repeatedly said the government will not raise taxes on the middle class. Tomorrow, we're expecting to find out if the wealthiest corporations and taxpayers may have to pay more. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
Donald Trump's hush money trial is now underway in New York. This is the first criminal trial of any U.S. president, past or present. Trump faces 34 counts of fraud, but denies any legal wrongdoing and remains defiant.
This is an outrage that this case was brought. This is political persecution. This is a persecution like never before. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And again, it's a case that should have never been brought. It's an assault on America.
Jury selection began after lawyers spent most of the morning arguing over what evidence could be introduced at trial. Trump's accused of falsifying business records involving payments allegedly made to hide accounts of extramarital affairs. There are 3 other criminal cases coming up against Trump, but those are unlikely to take place before the U.S. election in November. Tesla is reportedly planning to lay off 10% of its workforce as it grapples with falling sales. Cuts could affect about 14,000 workers employed by the electric vehicle company. The details appear to be from an internal memo sent by CEO Elon Musk. Tesla sales dropped sharply last quarter amid growing competition around the world. Even price cuts have failed to attract more buyers, and with sales down nearly 9% in the first quarter this year compared to 2023. I half expected you to appear with a shovel.
Yeah. Well, it'll be ready at least, but it's going to be warm. And it's going to be a windy night in Regina. Gusts still to 50, 11 degrees at midnight. We're not dropping really all that much overnight. 7 by the morning, sun and clouds, still breezy. Bit of a drop off in the wind by the afternoon, not by too much, but then this is where we see that cloud cover start to build in Regina. We have a chance of some late afternoon showers tomorrow. Saskatoon, that system going to hit you first. So after a night of partly cloudy conditions, breezy, still warm by the morning, we see that sun and cloud with those winds kind of picking up as we head into the afternoon. But it's here where cloud cover builds in by the noon hour, possibly some showers by the afternoon. Temperature of 12 degrees. And from there on out, Sam, the weather just getting messier and messier and colder as well. And then spring returns shortly after that.
We need the moisture. That is what I will chant while I'm shoveling.
Keep telling ourselves that.
Okay, thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
That is it for us tonight. For news anytime, you can head to cbc.ca/Sask. You can subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel or go download the CBC News app on your phone or tablet. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.